The alarm screamed through the bridge of the rescue ship Horizon. Jihoon dropped his coffee mug and ran to his station. His fingers flew across the control panel as red lights blinked everywhere. Something bad was happening out there in the cold darkness of space. "What do we have?" Captain Yuna called from her chair. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Jihoon read the data streaming across his screen. His stomach felt tight. "Distress signal from a diplomatic vessel. The Soft Wing. It's a Velen ship." He looked up at the captain. "Life support is failing. They have children on board." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The Velens were a peaceful species that looked like large moths with soft purple fur. They were traders and ambassadors, but their bodies were delicate. They needed warm temperatures to survive. Their babies were even more fragile. "How long until we reach them?" Yuna asked. Jihoon did the math in his head. 4 hours if we push the engines hard. "Will they last that long?" Jihoon looked at the numbers again. The Velen ship's temperature was dropping fast. Already it was down to 10 degrees. For humans, that was cold but manageable. For Velens, it was dangerous. For their larvae, it was deadly. "I don't know," he said quietly. Yuna stood up. "All hands to emergency stations. Engineering, I need maximum speed. Medical, prepare for Velen casualties. We're going in hot." The Horizon lurched forward as the engines roared to life. Jihoon felt the vibration through the floor. He opened a communication channel to the Velen ship. "Soft Wing, this is the rescue vessel Horizon. We received your distress call. We are coming to help you. Please respond." Static filled the speakers. Then a voice came through, weak and breaking up. "Horizon, this is Ambassador Soha of the Soft Wing. Our heating systems... total failure. We are... so cold." Jihoon leaned closer to his microphone. "Ambassador, we will reach you in less than 4 hours. Can you hold on?" There was a long pause. When Soha spoke again, her voice was shaking. "We can survive. My mate Minho and I, we will be okay. But our children..." She made a sound like crying. "Our 3 larvae. They need warmth. Without heat, they will... She couldn't finish. Jihoon felt his chest tighten. He thought about the Velen babies. He had seen pictures of Velen larvae before. They looked like fuzzy caterpillars with tiny wings. They were small enough to fit in a human hand, and they were dying right now in the cold. "Ambassador Soha, listen to me," Jihoon said. His voice was steady even though his heart was racing. "Do you have any emergency heating units? Thermal blankets? Anything?" "We used everything," Soha said. "We wrapped the larvae in every blanket we have. We hold them close to our bodies. But Velens do not make much body heat. We are not warm enough. The ship is too cold. Our babies are getting weaker." Jihoon closed his eyes. He tried to think. There had to be something. Some way to help them before the Horizon arrived. "What about your engines?" he asked. "Can you redirect any heat from the engine room?" "The engines are failing too." Minho's voice joined the conversation. He sounded tired and scared. "We shut down everything we could to save power for the distress beacon. Nothing is working anymore." Captain Yuna came to stand beside Jihoon. She put a hand on his shoulder. "Keep them talking," she whispered. "Don't let them give up." Jihoon nodded. "Ambassador Soha, Ambassador Minho, stay with me. We are coming as fast as we can. Tell me about your larvae. What are their names?" It was a simple question, but it worked. Soha's voice became a little stronger. "Our oldest is Hana. She was so active, always moving and chirping. Then we have twin boys, Tayo and June. They hatched just 2 weeks ago." "They sound wonderful," Jihoon said. He meant it. "You must be very proud." "We are," Minho said softly. "They are our joy, our hope for the future. We were taking them to the embassy station. This was supposed to be a safe journey. A happy journey. It's not over yet, Jihoon told them. He looked at his screen. 3.5 hours to go. Stay together. Keep the larvae as warm as you can. We will be there soon. The next hours were the longest of Jihoon's life. He stayed at his station talking to Soha and Minho. He asked them about their home world, about Velen culture, about anything to keep their minds busy and their spirits up. But as time passed, their voices grew weaker. The pauses between words grew longer. The larvae. They stopped moving, Soha whispered after 3 hours. They are not chirping anymore. They feel so cold in my arms. Jihoon's hands gripped his console. Don't give up. We are almost there. 20 more minutes. 20 minutes is too long, Minho said. His voice was flat, empty. They are gone. Our babies are gone. You don't know that, Jihoon said. But even he could hear the doubt in his own voice. Velen larvae were fragile. They couldn't survive long in the cold. Approaching the soft wing, the pilot announced. Docking in 5 minutes. Jihoon stood up. Captain, request permission to join the boarding team. Yuna looked at him. You're an engineer, not a medic. I know, but I've been talking to them for 4 hours. They know my voice, they trust me. Let me help. Yuna studied his face for a moment. Then she nodded. Go, but be careful. That ship is going to be like a freezer inside. Jihoon ran to the airlock. He grabbed a heavy jacket and put on his helmet. 2 medics were already waiting with emergency equipment. The horizon shook as it connected with the Velen ship. The airlock door opened. Cold air rushed out, even colder than space itself. Jihoon could see his breath in white clouds. The medics went in first. Jihoon followed. Inside the soft wing, everything was dark and frozen. Ice crystals covered the walls. The ship felt dead. They moved quickly through the corridors, following the life signs to the main cabin. They found Soha and Minho huddled together on the floor. Their purple fur was covered in frost. They were shaking and barely conscious. The medics rushed to help them. The nursery, Soha whispered, pointing down a hallway. Please, check on them. Even if they are gone. Please. Jihoon looked at the captain through the video link. She nodded. Go, she said. We've got the parents. Jihoon walked down the hallway alone, his boots crunched on the frozen floor. He reached the nursery door and opened it slowly. The room was tiny and so cold that his breath froze in the air. In the corner, he saw a small nest made of blankets and soft materials. It was empty and still. Jihoon's heart sank. He had been too late. They were all too late. Then he heard something, a tiny sound, a weak chirp. He moved closer to the nest and looked inside. 3 small shapes lay motionless under the blankets. They were so small, so fragile. Their fuzzy bodies were pale, and their tiny wings were folded tight. But one of them, the smallest one, made another chirp. It was barely a sound at all. Jihoon didn't think. He just acted. He pulled off his heavy jacket and opened his shirt. Then he carefully picked up the 3 larvae. They were cold, so terribly cold, like holding ice. He pressed them against his bare chest and wrapped his jacket around them. His body heat was all he had to give. It might not be enough, but he had to try. Hang on, little ones, he whispered. Just hang on. Jihoon sat on the frozen floor of the nursery with 3 tiny Velen larvae pressed against his chest. His jacket was wrapped around them, but he could still feel how cold they were, like holding 3 small stones that had been left outside in winter. He kept very still. He was afraid to move too much. The larvae were so fragile and so quiet. Only the smallest one had made that tiny chirp. The other 2 hadn't moved at all. Jihoon didn't know if they were alive or dead. Come on, he whispered. You can make it. Stay with me. His chest rose and fell with each breath. Slowly, very slowly, he felt the larvae start to warm up. It was working. His body heat was reaching them through their soft, fuzzy skin, but was it enough? Was it too late? The radio in his helmet crackled. "Jihoon, status report." It was Captain Yuna. "I found them," Jihoon said quietly. He didn't want to speak too loud. "The 3 larvae. They were in the nursery. I have them with me now." There was a pause. "Are they alive?" "I don't know. Maybe. One of them made a sound. I'm trying to warm them up." "The medics are stabilizing the parents," Yuna said. "They want to know if they should come to you." Jihoon thought about it. The nursery was small. If the medics came in with all their equipment and noise, it might disturb the larvae. And right now they needed calm and warmth more than anything else. "Not yet," he said. "Let me try this first. I'll call if I need help." "Understood. Keep us updated." The radio went quiet. Jihoon was alone again with the 3 small lives in his arms. He looked down, but he couldn't see them through his jacket. He could only feel them, cold and still against his skin. Time passed slowly. Jihoon didn't know if it was minutes or hours. The cold from the floor seeped into his legs. His back hurt from sitting in one position. His arms were going numb from holding the larvae so carefully. But he didn't move. He just sat there and tried to share his warmth. Then he felt something, a tiny movement against his chest. One of the larvae was stirring. Its little body twitched. Then another one moved, and another. Jihoon's heart jumped. "That's it," he said softly. "Come on, wake up." The movements got stronger. He felt tiny legs pushing against his skin. It tickled. Then he heard a sound. A chirp, louder than before. Then another chirp from a different larvae. Then a third one joined in. They were alive, all 3 of them. They were cold and weak, but they were alive. Jihoon laughed. He couldn't help it. Relief flooded through him like warm water. "You made it," he said. "You tough little things, you actually made it." The larvae kept chirping. They sounded confused and scared. They probably didn't understand where they were or why everything was so strange. But they were making noise and moving around. That was good. That meant they were getting warmer and stronger. "Jihoon to Captain Yuna," he said into his radio. "They're alive. All 3 larvae are alive." He heard voices in the background on the other end, excited voices, happy voices. Then Yuna came back on. "That's wonderful news. The parents are asking about them. Can we tell them?" "Yes. Tell them their babies are okay. Tell them—" Jihoon had to stop. His throat felt tight. "Tell them Hana and Tayo and June are safe." More voices in the background. Then he heard a sound that made his eyes water. It was Soha crying. But this time she wasn't crying from sadness. She was crying from joy. "Thank you," she said through the radio. Her voice was shaking. "Thank you, Jihoon. Thank you for saving our children." "I didn't do much," Jihoon said. "I just kept them warm." "You did everything," Minho's voice joined in. "You saved their lives. How can we ever repay you?" "You don't need to repay me," Jihoon said. "Just get better. Your babies need their parents." The medics were working fast. They had portable heaters set up in the main cabin. They wrapped Soha and Minho in thermal blankets and gave them warm fluids to drink. The 2 Velans were suffering from severe cold exposure, but they would survive. They were tough, tougher than they looked. "We need to get everyone back to the horizon," the chief medic said. "This ship is too damaged. We can't fix the life support here." "Agreed," Yuna said. "Prepare for transfer. Jihoon, can you carry the larvae?" Jihoon looked down at his jacket. The chirping had gotten quieter, but he could still feel the larvae moving against his chest. "I think so, but I don't want to expose them to the cold air." "Don't worry," the medic said. "We'll keep you covered. Just move carefully." They wrapped more blankets around Jihoon and the larvae. Then they helped him stand up. His legs were stiff from sitting so long. He wobbled a bit but caught his balance. The medic held his arm to steady him. "Okay," Jihoon said. "Let's go." They moved slowly through the frozen corridors of the soft wing. Soha and Minho were on stretchers carried by the other medics. They kept looking at Jihoon. Their big, moth-like eyes were filled with hope and fear. "Are they still okay?" Soha asked. "Are they still warm?" "They're fine," Jihoon assured her. "I can feel them moving. They're chirping too. Listen." He opened his jacket just a tiny bit. The soft chirping sounds filled the corridor. Soha made a happy crying sound. Minho reached out one weak hand as if trying to touch his children even though they were too far away. "We're almost there," Jihoon told them. "Just a little bit more." The airlock between the two ships seemed to take forever to cycle. Jihoon stood in the small space with the medics and the two Velen parents. The larvae were getting more active. They were crawling around on his chest now. Their tiny legs tickled his skin. One of them tried to climb up toward his shoulder. "Stay put, little one," Jihoon said with a smile. He gently guided the larvae back down. "Not time for exploring yet." The airlock finally opened. Warm air rushed in. It felt like stepping into a summer day after being in a freezer. Jihoon sighed with relief. The horizon was warm and bright and safe. They rushed everyone to the medical bay. It was a large room with several beds and lots of equipment. The medics put Soha and Minho on two beds side by side. They started checking their vital signs and treating their cold injuries. "Where should I put the larvae?" Jihoon asked. The chief medic pointed to a special incubator in the corner. It was a clear box with heating elements and soft padding inside. "In there. It's set to Velen larvae temperature. They'll be comfortable." But when Jihoon tried to move toward the incubator, the larvae started chirping loudly. They clung to his chest with their tiny legs. They didn't want to let go. "It's okay," Jihoon said gently. "You need to go in the warm box. Your parents are right here. See?" He walked closer to Soha and Minho so the larvae could hear their parents' voices. Soha reached out with her fuzzy hands. "Babies," she called softly. "My sweet babies, come to Mama." The larvae chirped back, but they still held onto Jihoon. They seemed confused. They didn't understand why they should leave the warm human who had saved them. Minho tried too. "Hana, Tayo, June, come to Papa. We're here. We're safe now." Slowly, one of the larvae loosened its grip. Jihoon carefully picked it up and placed it on Soha's chest. The larvae chirped once, then snuggled into its mother's fur. Soha made a happy trilling sound and wrapped her arms around her baby. The other two larvae saw this and finally let go. Jihoon transferred them to Minho. The reunion was beautiful. The parents held their children close, making soft sounds and stroking their fuzzy bodies. The larvae chirped and wiggled with happiness. "They're all here," Soha said, tears running down her face. "All three of them. Our family is together." The medic smiled. "They're in good shape considering what they went through. A few more hours in the cold and we would have lost them. You got there just in time, Jihoon." Jihoon stepped back. He suddenly felt very tired. His whole body ached. He looked down at his chest. There were small marks where the larvae had gripped him. His skin was red from the cold and from holding them for so long. "Jihoon," Soha called. "Please don't go. Stay with us." "I'm not going anywhere," Jihoon said. He found a chair and sat down. "I'll be right here." And he was. The medical bay was warm and quiet. Soha and Minho lay in their beds, wrapped in thermal blankets. Their three larvae were nestled between them, chirping softly. The family was finally together and safe. Jihoon sat in his chair nearby. He watched the Velen family with a small smile. His body was sore and tired, but his heart felt light. He had done something good today. He had saved 3 small lives. Captain Yuna came into the medical bay. She walked over to Jehoon and put a hand on his shoulder. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Tired," Jehoon admitted, "but happy." Yuna nodded. She looked at the Velen family. "You did well out there. Most people would have waited for the medics. But you acted fast. You used what you had." "I just did what felt right," Jehoon said. "They needed warmth, and I had warmth to give. It was simple." "Simple for humans, maybe," said a voice from the doorway. They turned to see Dr. Juan walking in. He was the ship's medical officer. But not simple for most other species. Juan walked over to check on the Velens. He scanned them with his medical device and nodded with satisfaction. "You're both recovering well. The larvae are healthy. No permanent damage from the cold." "Thank you, Doctor," Soha said. "And thank you, Jehoon." "We owe you everything." Jehoon felt embarrassed. "Really, it was nothing special." "Nothing special?" Minho said. He looked at Jehoon with his large eyes. "You held our dying children against your body for hours. You gave them your warmth, your heat. How is that not special?" "Humans are just warm," Jehoon said with a shrug. "Our bodies make a lot of heat. It's normal for us." Dr. Juan sat down next to Jehoon. "Let me explain something to you both. About humans and heat." He looked at the Velen parents. "Your species, the Velens, are what we call cold-adapted. Your bodies don't generate much internal heat. You rely on your environment to stay warm. That's why you need heated ships and warm planets." Soha nodded. "Yes, we cannot survive in the cold. Our bodies just stop working." "Most species in the galaxy are like you," Juan continued. "They either need external heat, or they have special adaptations like thick fur or shells. But humans are different. Humans are what we call endothermic. We make our own heat inside our bodies. A lot of heat, all the time." "I don't understand," Minho said. "All living things make some heat, don't they?" "Yes, but not like humans," Juan said. "The human body is like a furnace. It burns fuel constantly to create heat. Even when a human is sitting still and doing nothing, their body is making enough heat to warm a small space. That's why Jehoon felt warm to your larvae. His body was producing heat the whole time." Soha looked at Jehoon with wonder. "So you were like a living heater?" Jehoon laughed. "I guess so. I never thought about it that way." "There's more," Juan said. "Humans also have this instinct to share their body heat, especially with babies. Human babies are born helpless. They can't walk or talk or feed themselves. They need their parents for everything, including warmth. So humans evolved to hold their babies close to their bodies. Skin-to-skin contact. It's called kangaroo care." "Kangaroo care?" Minho repeated the strange word. "It's named after an earth animal," Juan explained. "But the point is that humans naturally want to hold babies against their warm bodies. It's an instinct. When Jehoon saw your larvae were cold, his human brain told him to pick them up and warm them. He didn't have to think about it. He just did it." Jehoon realized the doctor was right. He hadn't really thought about what he was doing in the nursery. He just knew the babies needed warmth and he could provide it. It was automatic. "This is amazing," Soha said. She looked at her mate. "Minho, do you realize what this means? Humans can survive in cold that would kill us, and they can share that survival with others." "It's a powerful adaptation," Yuna said. She had been listening quietly. Humans evolved on a planet with extreme temperature changes, hot summers and cold winters. They had to learn to make their own heat to survive, and they had to protect their young in all conditions. One of the larvae, little Hana, crawled away from her parents and moved toward the edge of the bed. She chirped at Jehoon. Her tiny wings fluttered. "I think she wants you," Soa said with a soft laugh. Jehoon stood up and walked to the bed. He held out his hand. Hana crawled onto his palm. She was so small and light. Her fuzzy body was warm now, healthy. She chirped again and rubbed her tiny head against his finger. She remembers you, Minho said. She knows you saved her. Do larvae remember things? Jihoon asked. Oh yes, Soha said. Velen larvae are quite intelligent. They remember voices and smells and touches. Hana will remember you for the rest of her life. They all will. The other two larvae, Tayo and June, heard their sister chirping. They crawled over to see what she was doing. Soon, all three larvae were climbing on Jihoon's hands and arms. They made happy chirping sounds. Jihoon smiled. They're so active now, hard to believe they were almost frozen a few hours ago. Larvae are resilient, Soha said. If they can survive the first crisis, they bounce back quickly. You gave them that chance. Without you, they would have died in that cold nursery. And Minho and I would have died too, knowing we couldn't save them. Her voice broke. Minho reached over and took her hand. They looked at each other with deep sadness in their eyes. Jihoon realized they were thinking about what could have happened. What almost happened. But it didn't happen, Jihoon said firmly. You're all here. You're all safe. That's what matters. He's right, Yuna said. No point in thinking about the bad possibilities. Focus on the good reality. Dr. Huan checked his medical device again. I want to keep you all here for another day, just to be sure. But after that, you should be fine to continue your journey. Our ship is destroyed, Minho said sadly. The soft wing is beyond repair. We'll tow it to the nearest station, Yuna said. You can arrange for transport there. Or if you prefer, we can take you to the embassy station. That's where you are going, right? Soha nodded. Yes. We were taking the larvae to show them to the other ambassadors. It was supposed to be their first official appearance. She looked at her babies playing with Jihoon. I guess they're making quite an appearance anyway. Everyone laughed. The tension in the room eased. The crisis was over. They were safe. Over the next few hours, Jihoon stayed with the Velen family. He played with the larvae, letting them climb on him and explore his hands. He talked with Soha and Minho about their culture and their homeworld. He learned that Velens lived in warm forests where huge flowers bloomed all year. The larvae would eat nectar and grow quickly. In just a few months, they would develop full wings and learn to fly. Will you visit us? Soha asked. When we reach the embassy station, we would love to show you proper Velen hospitality. I would like that, Jihoon said. I've never been to an embassy station before. Then it's settled, Minho said. You must come. We insist. You saved our family. You are part of our story now, part of our children's story. Hana chirped as if agreeing. She was sitting on Jihoon's shoulder now, her tiny feet gripping his shirt. Tayo and June were curled up on his lap, dozing peacefully. They really like you, Soha said softly. I've never seen larvae bond with someone outside the family so quickly. Maybe they know warmth when they feel it, Jihoon said. He gently stroked Hana's fuzzy back with one finger. Both the physical warmth and the other kind. The other kind? Minho asked. The warmth of caring, Jihoon said. The warmth of kindness. Humans have that too. We care about others, even strangers, even aliens we just met. When we see someone in trouble, we want to help. It's another one of our instincts. Soha wiped tears from her eyes. That's beautiful. Your species is beautiful. Jihoon felt his cheeks get hot. He wasn't used to such praise. We're just people. We do what we can. That's more than many species can say, Yuna said. She had been standing in the doorway, listening. We should let them rest now. Come on, Jihoon. You need sleep too. Jihoon carefully transferred the larvae back to their parents. Hana chirped in protest, but settled down when Soha held her close. Rest well, Jihoon said. I'll come back tomorrow to check on you. We'll be here, Minho said with a smile. Thanks to you, we'll be here. As Jihoon left the medical bay, he felt a deep sense of peace. Today had started with panic and fear. It had ended with life and hope. He had made a difference, a real difference, and all he had done was share his warmth. 3 days had passed since the rescue. The Horizon was now docked at Gateway Station, a massive structure that floated in space between several star systems. It was a hub for traders, diplomats, and travelers from hundreds of different species. Jihoon walked through the crowded corridors of the station with Soha and Minho. The Velen couple had recovered fully from their ordeal. They moved with grace on their 4 legs, their purple fur clean and brushed. The 3 larvae rode in a special carrier that Minho wore on his back. It was temperature-controlled to keep them warm and comfortable. "This place is so busy," Jihoon said, looking at all the different aliens around them. There were tall ones and short ones with scales and ones with feathers. Some walked on legs, others floated or rolled. "Gateway Station serves over 300 species," Soha explained. "It's one of the most diverse places in the galaxy. That's why the Velen Embassy is here. We want to connect with everyone." They made their way to the diplomatic quarter. This was a quieter section of the station where embassies and government offices were located. The Velen Embassy was a beautiful building with walls that looked like flower petals. Warm light glowed from inside. "Welcome to our home away from home," Minho said proudly. Inside, several other Velens greeted them. They crowded around, touching Soha and Minho with their soft hands and making trilling sounds of joy. They had heard about the accident and the rescue. They wanted to see the family that had survived. An older Velen with silver-white fur stepped forward. She wore elegant robes and carried herself with authority. "Ambassador Soha, Ambassador Minho, we are so relieved you are safe." Her eyes moved to the larvae carrier. "And the little ones, too. May we see them?" Minho carefully opened the carrier. 3 fuzzy faces peeked out, chirping curiously at all the new people. The Velens gasped and made happy sounds. "They are beautiful," the older Velen said, "and so healthy. After what they went through, it's a miracle." "The miracle has a name," Soha said. She gestured to Jihoon. "This is Jihoon. He's the human who saved our children. Jihoon, this is High Ambassador Nari. She leads our embassy here." Nari turned her large eyes to Jihoon. She studied him carefully. "A human," she said slowly. "We have heard many things about humans. They are new to the galactic community, only made first contact 50 years ago, but already they are making quite an impression." Jihoon wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not. "I just did what anyone would do," he said. "But not anyone could do what you did," Nari said. She gestured for them to follow her to a private meeting room. It was a comfortable space with soft cushions and warm lighting. "Please, sit. I want to understand what happened. The report we received was unusual." They all sat down. The larvae were let out of their carrier to play on the soft floor. They immediately crawled to Jihoon and started climbing on him. He laughed and let them explore his arms. "They still love you," Minho said with a smile. Nari watched this with interest. "Tell me everything," she said. Soha and Minho explained what had happened: the system failure, the cold, the fear of losing their children. Then they described how Jihoon had found the larvae and held them against his body to keep them warm. "For hours?" Nari asked. "He held them for hours?" "Yes," Soha said. "He sat in that frozen room and shared his body heat with them. He saved their lives." Nari looked at Jihoon. "And this is a normal thing for humans to do?" Jihoon thought about it. "Well, not the exact situation. But holding babies close to keep them warm, yes, that's very normal for humans. We do it with our own babies all the time. It's called skin-to-skin contact. It helps keep them warm and calm." Fascinating, Nari said. She picked up a data pad and started making notes. You see, we Velans cannot do this. Our bodies don't make enough heat. When our larvae are cold, we must use external heaters. We cannot warm them with our bodies alone. This puts us at a disadvantage in emergencies. Many species have this problem, Jihoon said. Dr. Huan told me that humans are unusual. We make a lot of body heat compared to others. More than unusual, Nari said. Humans are exceptional. Your species evolved on a planet with harsh climate changes. You had to develop strong heat regulation. And because human babies are born so helpless, you evolved to protect them with your bodies. It's a powerful combination. She looked at the larvae playing with Jihoon. Hana was sitting on his shoulder again. Tayo and June were wrestling with his fingers, trying to bite them playfully with their tiny mouths. They trust you completely, Nari observed. Velan larvae are usually afraid of other species. They only feel safe with their parents, but these three treat you like family. They remember, Soha said softly. They remember that he saved them. They remember his warmth and his heartbeat. They heard it when they were pressed against his chest. To them, Jihoon is safety. Nari set down her data pad. I want to show you something, Jihoon. Will you come with me? Of course, Jihoon said. He carefully collected the larvae and handed them back to Minho. They chirped in protest but settled down when their father held them. Nari led Jihoon to another room in the embassy. This one had walls covered with screens showing images and videos. This is our cultural archive, she explained. We record important moments in Velan history here, stories that teach us about ourselves and about others. She activated one of the screens. It showed an old video of Velans in what looked like a disaster situation. There was fire and smoke. Velans were running, trying to escape. In the chaos, several adult Velans were carrying larvae, trying to protect them from the heat and danger. This was a factory fire on our homeworld 20 years ago, Nari said. Many Velans died that day, but more importantly, all the larvae that were in the building died. Even though adults tried to save them, they couldn't. The heat was too intense. The smoke was too thick. Velan bodies couldn't handle it, and we couldn't protect our most vulnerable. The video changed to show a memorial service. Hundreds of Velans gathered to mourn the lost larvae. The grief was visible in their movements and their sounds. We learned something that day, Nari continued. We learned that we are fragile. We are weak when it comes to extreme conditions. Heat, cold, toxic air. These things kill us easily. And they kill our children even faster. We can build technology to protect us. But technology can fail, as you saw with the soft wing. She turned to look at Jihoon. But you didn't need technology. You used your body, your natural abilities. You walked into a freezing room and kept 3 larvae alive with nothing but your own warmth. Do you understand how incredible that is to us? Jihoon felt uncomfortable with all this attention. I was just lucky to be there. Lucky that my body happened to be warm enough. It's not luck, Nari said firmly. It's evolution. It's millions of years of your species adapting to survive, and now that adaptation has saved Velan lives, lives that are precious to us. She activated another screen. This one showed information about humans, population numbers, planets they lived on, their history, their biology. Humans are new to the galaxy, Nari said. Only 50 years in the community. Many species don't know what to make of you. Some are wary because humans can be aggressive. Others are impressed because humans are innovative. But I think the most important thing about humans is this. You protect the weak. You care for the vulnerable, even when they're not your own species. Jihoon thought about his own people, about Earth and its history. We're not perfect, he said quietly. Humans have done bad things too. We've hurt each other. We've hurt our planet. We have wars and conflicts. Every species has darkness, Nari said. Every species has made mistakes. But every species also has light, and humanity's light is bright. You reach out to help even when it costs you, even when it's uncomfortable or difficult. You don't turn away from need. She gestured back toward the room where the others waited. Soha and Minho could have died without hope, knowing their children were gone. Instead, they are alive and together, because one human, one engineer who was just doing his job, decided to care, decided to act, decided to give his warmth. Jihoon felt his eyes getting wet. He hadn't thought about it like this before. He had just seen babies who needed help and he helped them. It seemed so simple. But maybe it wasn't simple to everyone. "I want to share your story," Nari said. "I want other species to know what humans can do. Not just your technology or your ships or your weapons, but your compassion, your instinct to protect. Is that okay with you?" Jihoon wiped his eyes. "If it helps others understand humans better, then yes. Share the story." They returned to the meeting room. Soha and Minho were playing with the larvae on the floor. The little ones were chasing each other in circles, chirping happily. "Everything all right?" Minho asked, noticing Jihoon's expression. "Yes," Jihoon said. He sat down and immediately the larvae came to him. They crawled into his lap and settled down as if they belonged there. Everything is perfect. 6 months had passed since the rescue of the soft wing. Jihoon stood in the auditorium of Gateway Station, looking at the crowd that had gathered. There were hundreds of beings from dozens of different species. All of them had come to hear him speak. He felt nervous. Public speaking had never been his strength. He was an engineer, not a diplomat. He preferred working with machines and numbers, not giving speeches to crowds. But High Ambassador Nari had asked him to do this, and he couldn't say no. "Are you ready?" Nari asked. She stood beside him backstage, her silver-white fur glowing in the light. "I think so," Jihoon said. His hands were sweating. "What if I say something wrong?" "You won't," Nari assured him. "Just speak from your heart. Tell them what happened. Tell them what it means to be human." The lights in the auditorium dimmed. A spotlight came on, pointing at the stage. It was time. Jihoon walked out onto the stage. The crowd went quiet. Hundreds of eyes from dozens of different species watched him. He saw tall reptilian beings and small furry ones. He saw creatures that floated and creatures that stood on multiple legs. In the front row, he saw Soha and Minho with their 3 larvae, now much bigger than before. "Hello," Jihoon said into the microphone. His voice echoed through the room. "My name is Jihoon. I'm a human, an engineer, and 6 months ago, I did something that changed my life." He told them the story. He described the distress call and the desperate race to reach the soft wing. He talked about the cold nursery and the 3 tiny larvae that were nearly dead. He explained how he held them against his chest and shared his warmth. "I didn't think about it much at the time," Jihoon said. "I just knew they needed heat and I could give it to them. It seemed like the obvious thing to do. The only thing to do." He paused and looked at the crowd. "But I've learned that it wasn't obvious to everyone. What's natural for humans isn't natural for all species. Our ability to make heat with our bodies is special. Our instinct to protect the helpless is special. And I want you to understand why." He activated a screen behind him. It showed images of Earth, the human homeworld, beautiful blue oceans and green lands, mountains and forests and cities. "This is where humans come from," Jihoon said. "A planet that has extreme seasons. In some places, the temperature can drop below freezing in winter. In other places, it can rise to deadly heat in summer. Humans had to learn to survive both. We had to adapt our bodies to make heat and to cool down. We became very good at regulating our temperature." The screen changed to show images of human babies, tiny infants being held by their parents, skin touching skin. "Human babies are born helpless," Jihoon continued. They can't walk or feed themselves. They depend completely on their parents, and they can't regulate their body temperature well at first. So human parents hold them close, skin to skin, body to body. We share our warmth with them. This contact helps them survive. It also creates a bond, a connection. We learn that protecting the weak is good, that caring for the vulnerable is right. He looked at the audience. He could see they were listening carefully. Some were taking notes. Others were translating for their companions. These two things together, our ability to make heat and our instinct to protect, make humans good at helping others in crisis, Jihoon said. When I found those larvae, my human brain didn't see alien babies. It saw babies who needed warmth, and my body provided that warmth automatically. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to decide. My biology and my instincts worked together. The screen changed again. This time it showed a graph comparing different species' heat production. Humans were near the top of the list. Many species in the galaxy are stronger than humans, Jihoon said. Many are smarter or faster or more advanced. But humans have this one gift. We are warm, and we share that warmth freely. He turned off the screen and walked to the front of the stage. I want to tell you what I've learned in the past 6 months. I've learned that being human means carrying a responsibility. We can do things other species can't. We can survive conditions that would kill others. We can help in ways that seem impossible. And because we can, we should. Jihoon saw Soha and Minho nodding in the front row. The 3 larvae were bigger now, almost ready to develop their full wings. Hana, Tayo, and June chirped softly. These 3 larvae taught me something important, Jihoon said, pointing to them. They taught me that life is precious, no matter what species it belongs to. When I held them, I didn't see alien creatures. I saw living beings who deserved a chance, who deserved to grow and live and experience the universe, and if I could give them that chance, then I had to try. He took a deep breath. Humanity is still new to the galactic community. We're still learning. We make mistakes, we have conflicts, but we also have this. We care. When we see someone suffering, we want to help. When we see someone in danger, we act. It's not always convenient. It's not always safe. But we do it anyway, because it's right. The auditorium was completely silent. Everyone was focused on Jihoon's words. I'm not a hero, Jihoon said. I'm just a person who did what felt natural. But if my story can help you understand humans better, then I'm glad to share it. We're not perfect. We're not superior. We're just warm. And we're willing to share that warmth with anyone who needs it. He bowed slightly, the way humans did to show respect. Thank you for listening. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the auditorium exploded with sound. Different species showed appreciation in different ways. Some clapped like humans. Others made trilling sounds or stamped their feet. Some flashed lights or released pleasant scents. The noise was overwhelming, but it was all positive. Jihoon felt his face get hot. He hadn't expected this reaction. He waved awkwardly and left the stage. Backstage, Nari was waiting with a huge smile on her face. That was perfect, she said. Absolutely perfect. You touched their hearts, all of them. I just told the truth, Jihoon said. The truth is powerful, Nari replied. Come on. There are people who want to meet you. The next few hours were a blur. Jihoon met ambassadors from dozens of species. They all wanted to shake his hand or touch him in greeting. They wanted to hear more about humans and Earth and what made his species special. A tall, crystalline being named Kira approached him. She spoke through a translation device. I am from a cold world. My people struggle in low temperatures. After hearing your story, I want to learn more about human biology. Perhaps we can work together, share knowledge, help each other. I would like that, Jihoon said. An ambassador from a species that looked like walking plants came next. My people also have vulnerable young. They need specific conditions to survive. We have lost many children to accidents. Perhaps humans can teach us better ways to protect them." "Of course," Jihoon agreed. "Humans would be happy to help." More and more species came to talk. They all saw something valuable in humanity, not weapons or technology or strength, but compassion, care, the willingness to help. Finally, Soha and Minho reached him. They had their 3 larvae with them. The young Velans were almost fully grown now. Their wings were developing and they could fly short distances. But when they saw Jihoon, they chirped happily and flew to him, landing on his shoulders and arms. "They still remember," Soha said with tears in her eyes. "After all this time, they still know you saved them." "I'll always remember too," Jihoon said, gently stroking Hana's fuzzy head. "They changed my life. They helped me understand what being human really means." Minho stepped forward. He held out a small box. "We have something for you. A gift from the Velan people." Jihoon opened the box. Inside was a pendant made of crystallized amber. Embedded in the amber were 3 tiny feathers, each a different color: purple, blue, and green. "These are from our larvae," Minho explained. "Their first wing feathers. They shed them as they grow. We preserve them for you. In our culture, giving someone your child's first feathers means they are family. You are part of our family now, Jihoon. Forever." Jihoon felt tears running down his face. He couldn't help it. The gift was beautiful and meaningful. He put the pendant around his neck. "I'm honored," he said. "Thank you. For everything." "No," Soha said firmly. "Thank you. For showing the galaxy what humanity can be. For proving that the best weapons aren't made of metal or energy. They're made of warmth and kindness, and the stubborn refusal to let others die when you can save them." As the event ended and people started leaving, Jihoon stood with the Velan family and looked out at the stars visible through the station's windows. Somewhere out there, humanity was still learning its place in the galaxy, still figuring out how to fit in with so many different species. But Jihoon knew now that humans had something important to offer. Not just technology or innovation or military strength. They had warmth, they had compassion, they had the instinct to protect life, any life, even when it was difficult or dangerous. Hana chirped on his shoulder. Tayo and June made happy sounds from Minho's arms. The larvae that had almost died in the cold were now strong and healthy. They would grow up and have their own families one day. And they would tell their children about the human who held them close and kept them warm when the universe was cold and dark. That was humanity's greatest strength. Not the ability to fight or conquer or dominate, but the ability to care, to protect, to share warmth with anyone who needed it. And that, Jihoon realized, was something worth being proud of. He smiled and looked at his new family. The universe was huge and full of different kinds of beings. But warmth was universal. Kindness was universal. And humanity had plenty of both to share. The future was bright. And it was warm.